I'd like your attention, and I'd like to call the December meeting of the Common Council of Lafayette in order. Tonight we have Troop 348 from Bug Creek, and so I'd like to call those folks to the podium if you could lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, ready?
For which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible.
Thank you, gentlemen. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Heidi?
Here.
Blinker?
Here.
Reynolds?
Here.
Campbell?
Aye. Here.
Brown?
Here.
Allersmeyer? Williamson?
Here.
Downing?
Aye.
Myers?
Here.
Quorum present.
Right, thank you. Mr. Campbell.
Mr. President, I move that we recess the meeting for the purpose of a public hearing on ordinance 2012-32.
Is there a second, Mr. Clinker?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, at this point, ladies and gentlemen, we are recessed for the purpose of holding a public hearing on ordinance 2012-32. This is an amendment to an ordinance concerning the charge of sewer services. This ordinance was heard last week, but before we can take any official action, I'm sorry, it was heard last month. But before we can take an official action, we have to hold a separate public meeting, and so that's the purpose of this meeting this evening. Is there anyone in the audience or any members of the council that would like to address this particular ordinance regarding the charges for sewage services during this public meeting? Yes, ma'am. You come forward to the microphone, please, and state your name and address for our record.
Christine Hoggett, 834 Red Oaks Lane, Lafayette.
Thank you.
But I live in the county. And I'm just curious to get more details about this process because it looks like there's going to be a flat rate of $58 a month for sewage, storm sewage. I don't understand what's going on, but it looks like the rates are going to raise drastically, and I need to know how I can find more information about this because I'm opposed to what I've read so far.
Okay. Is there someone from the administration that would just like to explain it? Right. Right. It's not the stormwater. It's the sewer rates.
So did I get the wrong letter from everybody else?
There's a flat rate if you don't have your own water, and we don't have a way to measure your sewage, that there is a flat rate. But do you have city water?
Yes.
Okay, then this doesn't pertain to you.
Thank you. That's what I needed to know because it wasn't clear in this.
Sir,
Thank you very much.
Save $58 today.
It's a good day, huh?
Yeah.
Anyone else would like to address this particular ordinance during this public hearing? Mr. Campbell.
I move we reconvene for the purpose of carrying out the city's business.
And Mr. Clinker.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. There's another ordinance, though, I think that we need to recess for consideration for public hearing, and that's ordinance 2012-33. Is there a motion, Mr. Campbell?
So moved.
Is there a second, Mr. Clinker?
Second.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Now we are recessed for another ordinance, and this is an ordinance for the appropriation of local roads and streets fund. This was heard by the council last month, but again, before final action, we have to have this separate public meeting before today's meeting. Is there anyone that would like to address this particular ordinance? It is the appropriation for a certain amount of money for local roads and street funds, and as I understand this proposal, most all of it's going to go toward the reconstruction of North Street. Anyone from council or anyone from the public would like to address this particular ordinance? Seeing none, Mr. Campbell.
I move that we reconvene once again.
And Ms. Williamson. All right. It's been moved and seconded to end this public hearing and reconvene for the regular meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Thank you. We'll move now further down the agenda. The approval of the minutes from the November 5th, 2012 meeting. Mr. Campbell.
I move those minutes be approved as communicated.
Brown.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from last month's meeting. Is there any additions or corrections to the minutes? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved. Presentation and disposal of claims.
There are none.
Presentation of petitions and communications.
There are none.
How about reports of city offices?
Clerk's Office monthly October, Water Pollution Control monthly October, Waterworks monthly October, Fleet Maintenance monthly October, and Police Department monthly September.
Thank you. And as a reminder to members of the audience, these are regular monthly reports that are filed by different city departments. They are filed at the clerk's office. They're available for review during the regular business hours up on the second floor, and they are also available on our website. Moving on to ordinances for second reading.
Ordinance 2012-30, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Lafayette, Indiana, approving the issuance of Park District refunding bonds.
With the pleasure of the council. Mr. Heidi.
Move for passage ordinance number 2012-30.
Mr. Clinker.
Second.
Thank you. Then moved and seconded to consider ordinance 2012-30. Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the council, before you is the ordinance for second reading on the refunding of the park bonds that we had last month. As you know, doing our due diligence here at the city, we have been going through the different bond issues that we have to see if there's any potential savings that we can acquire in accordance with the ordinance that was passed several years ago with the 2% net that we need to come up with. As part of that process, we have come up with some bonds in the Parks Department that are good candidates to be refinanced. As you know from the last presentation, our financial advisor, H.J. Umbaugh, along with Craig DeVault, who we did not ask to come back this evening, have went through that. We're going to get considerably more than the 2% savings, so we're very excited about that. As you probably saw from the email, the bond sale did go through on the redevelopment bonds, and we actually got a rate of 1.62, so even better than what we had presented to the council. The savings is even going to be a decent amount more, so this is good timing as we had anticipated. So we are looking forward to your approval and continuing this process. And those park bonds are outside the general tax levy when they were created for the park, and so that is a true tax savings to the taxpayer. I mean, that money simply will not be collected from them at all. That is a savings right in their pocket. So we look forward to getting a good rate on those and moving forward with the process.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of the mayor? Any comments by members of the audience regarding this proposal to refinance the Park District bonds? Seeing no comments, no final comments by council, we'll have a roll call vote.
Heidi?
Aye.
Baker?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Campbell?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Williamson? Aye. Downing?
Aye.
Ordinance passes 7-0.
The ordinance is passed. Next ordinance, 2012-31. You don't have to read the whole thing. Stop when you get out of the
Okay, you're really. An ordinance authorizing the acquisition, construction, installation, and equipping by the City of Lafayette, Indiana, of certain improvements and extensions to the sewage works of the city, the issuance and sale of revenue bonds to provide funds for the payment and the cost thereof, the issuance and sale of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance and sale of such bonds, and the collection, segregation, and distribution of the revenue of such sewage works, the safeguarding of the interests of the owners of the revenue bonds, and other related matters, including repealing ordinances inconsistent herewith. Thank you.
Mr. Downing.
I move to hear and approve ordinance 2012-31. You did a nice job, Cindy.
I can make it as painless as I could.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to consider ordinance 2012-31. Mr. Mayor.
Chairman, as you know, we made a significant presentation last month, and then we've had the other public meeting, the public hearing tonight, and then work with the council to bring up the speed on this. But just to kind of recap, this is the bond issue for the very significant Earl Avenue, Durkee's Run project that we'll be undertaking shortly after the first of the year. Just a recap for those in the audience, as everyone knows, this is part of our long-term control plan for the City of Lafayette to reduce the amount of raw sewage that flows into the Wabash River. Several years ago, after a long and arduous process, we were able to enter into a judicial agreement with IDEM to come to what the scope of work would have to be for us over the next 20-some years to meet the standards that they had set for us to minimize the amount of raw sewage that we are dumping into the Wabash River. We've completed several projects at this point with the Ross Road lift station, the Pearl River lift station, and most notably the tunnel, conveyance tunnel that runs underneath downtown Lafayette from the Ferry Street where the old lift station was down to the Pearl River lift station. As you all know, that has been extremely successful, stopping literally, we're probably close to 800 million gallons of raw sewage that would have flowed into the river that has not because of that conveyance tunnel. You probably saw the article in the paper today about the next section that we're working on right now down there along 3rd Street from when that project stopped at Ferry Street over towards Cincinnati, which will tie into another CSO that we have here in the community, and so we're continue to make progress on that. This is a large project. It's going to start, a little piece of it's already done there on South Street from 52. It will run all the way down Earl Avenue, all the way down to State Street. Somewhere we'll go behind State Street there, behind the Jeff High School football field, down through the old tennis courts, underneath 18th Street by Cary Home, and then the full length of the Durkee's Run system all the way down across 9th Street, 4th Street, and down to the plant. The plans are coming along. The designs are coming along. We're working closely with Jeff High School at this time for the outdoor classroom that we'll have, the laboratory there where the old tennis courts are, where the first, I hate to use the term first flush, but where the water will make the first push through there before it goes underneath 18th Street. So those are moving along nicely. We hope to get started on some of the work on the other side of 18th Street yet shortly into 2013, maybe February, to start building some of those retention areas over there. As you're probably aware, this will take 1,000 acres of ground off the combined sewers in that area of town. We were very lucky as we studied the system and began to revise what we were going to do, that IDEM was agreeable to that. We found that many of the sewers and storm sewers were separated, that had connection points where they had been put together. So by eliminating those, creating these holding areas, and of course the new storm sewer down Earl Avenue, which is full to capacity, that CSO is full to capacity this time. We're actually, what started out as an expensive project, but was only going to eliminate a much smaller amount of CSO, is now going to eliminate almost 1,000 acres. So we're very pleased with the final outcome. Some of the additional benefits of this program that we've talked about is because the Earl Avenue CSO is full to capacity, that's the main reason that Sagamore Parkway floods, particularly the point from behind Von Tobel's down there past Cassuth Street and down towards the other end, because once it rains, there's no place for the water coming off Sagamore Parkway and coming from that general direction to go, because once it gets to Earl Avenue, it's full, it's to capacity, and so the water backs up. Same thing for houses in the Columbian Park neighborhood. They're on 30th and 31st, 29th Street. When they flow towards Earl Avenue, that's why we have the basement backups and some of the street floodings, again, because that system is completely full. And this will also eliminate that. So by also meeting some of our federal mandates that we're required to do, we're also picking up some additional benefits to our citizens and to some of our neighborhoods by what we'll be able to do with this project. I'd be happy to answer any question. I wasn't going to have Brad stand up and do another full-blown line-by-line, foot-by-foot of the sewer, but Brad is here to answer any questions. Hans Steck is here, legal counsel, to answer any questions about the bonds that there might be. And then on the next ordinance that deals specifically with the rate, John Scomp is here from Crow. Again, if there would be any specific questions about the calculations, we do have people here to answer those, but I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of council members? Mr. Brown?
Just one. We're about 10 years into this project, right?
Well, we're not quite 10 years. 9. That's pretty good, Perry. We're 9, and that's pretty close.
But I was wondering, do we have another 10 to go?
Well, we probably have more than that with the monitoring. Once all the projects are done, then we have 2 years of monitoring that we still need to do at that point to make sure that everything we've done is work. If you remember, I don't think we brought it tonight, but the long-term control plan is about thick. But I'll let Brad touch base a little bit with you on the timeline so you're comfortable with the timeline.
We entered into the agreement in 2009. That's when I met by 9. So yeah, it's 2026 is when the plan is due to be complete, and then we have 2 years of monitoring after that.
Other questions? Any questions or comments from members of the audience on this particular proposal for authorizing the acquisition of bonds for this sewer project? Seeing none, are there any final comments by council? We'll have a roll call vote.
Heidi?
Aye.
Flinker?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Campbell?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Williamson?
Aye.
Downing?
Aye.
Ordinance passes 7-0.
Thank you. That ordinance is passed. Ordinance 2012-32.
An an amendment to Ordinance 85-12 as last amended by Ordinance 2006-01 concerning charges for sewage services.
Thank you. What's the pleasure of the council? Ms. Weiss, please.
I move for passage of ordinance 2012-32 on final reading.
Mr. Second. It's been moved and seconded to consider ordinance 2012-32 for final reading. This is the ordinance that we spoke about earlier at the beginning of the meeting, where we had a public meeting, and this is an ordinance proposing the sewer rates for the next couple of years. This will be a final action on this on this ordinance. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's correct, and I'll go through this in a little bit more detail then to make sure that we have our clarification on those points. We certainly understand, as I said last month, that it's never easy to raise rates, but obviously we have to generate the millions of dollars. You know, this project, when it's all said and done, close to the $30 million mark. So we have to generate the rates to pay for those bonds over the next several years. We look at every opportunity to be efficient. We look at every opportunity for savings to get the most out of this project that we can. As we talked about the tunnel, it actually is proven to be working even better than we anticipated, and we try to do that with each project to gain as much efficiency as we can. And some of the things that we have found on this project should, in fact, eliminate some of the things that we'll have to do on the next project and actually diminish some of that cost. I mean, obviously, I can't speculate in the future and give you an exact number, but because we've been able to take 1,000 acres now, and the way we're going to be able to do this project, the next projects identified in there may not have to be quite so significant some down the line because we've been able to do a better job here. So we always continue to do that. We also, as with the last time, will be phasing in this rate increase. We always try to phase those in over a 3-year period, taking into account people that are on fixed incomes, people that are maybe living off their pension or having to work 2 jobs. We certainly always try to phase these rate increases in to take all that into consideration and do it in a way that we try to minimize the impact on people as much as we possibly can. But again, you know, we are in a position where it is a judicial agreement signed by a judge. It's a federal mandate that has to be met. We are on a timeline, and this particular project needs to be completed by 2015. And as we've discussed, it's probably an 18 months to 2-year project, depending on when we start digging and all the things that we do. Hopefully we won't find anything too unusual or that slows us down, but whenever you're doing this type of excavation work and this type of project, I mean, things can happen, so we need to get started to make sure that we meet those timelines. And then again, you know, it is the right thing to do for the environment, for water quality. I don't think anybody believes that it's okay to dump, you know, sewage into the Wabash River, and we need to do the right thing to protect our water supplies for future generations. And that's really what these projects are doing. You know, quite frankly, I will not be here in 2029. We are doing this for the next generation, for our children, for our grandchildren, for the next set of businesses, for economic development, for clean water, for the people that will come after us, to ensure that we have a community where people can get their permits, businesses continue to grow, we have good water quality, in the area, and we're really doing this for future generations. And so, like I said, it is not easy to do, but the phase-in that we talked about is a 15, 10, and 4 over the 3-year period. And just so everybody in the audience understand what that equates to is if you have a basic average of 5,000 gallons per month of water, the rates will be as followed. February 1st of 2013, the sewer rate will go from $25.01 on that 5,000 gallons to $28.75, so about $3.74. Effective January 1st, 2014, the rate will go from the $28.75 to $31.63. And effective January 1st, 2015, it will go from the $31.63 to $32.90, so a little bit over $1 that particular year per month. So we're trying to make it reasonable. We're trying to phase it in. I think we've value engineered this, look at everything that we possibly can, and we will continue to do that. Like I said, John Scomp is here if you have any questions on the mathematical calculations that he performed to come up with what was necessary to cover the bonds. I'd also draw your attention to the page that we have that shows where our water and sewer rates fall with other communities. When you look at our water and sewer rates combined in particular, we are near the bottom of the lowest of anybody in the state of Indiana with a population over 25,000. We've tried to minimize some of the costs by we've not had a water rate increase. 2013, it will be almost 12 years since we've had a water rate increase, trying to keep, because I know people, it's all one, you pay your wastewater, your water, and your storm water. That's one chunk of money coming out of your pocket. So to try to balance what we know we've had to do with this, we've tried to do everything we can, and we've done a pretty good job not having a water rate increase in a long time to try to keep some of this balanced out. When you look at all of it combined, we're still one of the lowest in the state.
Well, thank you, Mayor. I hope you're here at 2029, but I know Mr. Campbell will be.
Yeah. Well, I hope I'm still alive, but I don't think I'm going to be down here. So I think the numbers that you stated then for the next 3 years, the total increase would be about $7.95 if it's phased in a month on an average house. On an average 5,000 gallon usage. If you use less than that, it'd be obviously less. If you would happen to use more than that, would use more. And we did notify our largest users by a special letter a while back so they could plan their budgets as they were looking at 2013 for some of the companies that use significant gallons every day. So we sent those out and gave them a heads up.
Mr. Campbell.
I don't know if this is the appropriate time to ask this question, but will we be getting the 1.6% interest on these bonds that we got on the refinance bonds?
Well, I mean, I can't answer that for sure until you actually put them out that particular day and see who buys them and what that rate might be. But I mean, we're hoping for a very favorable. We were very lucky. Actually, those redevelopment bonds were bought by Old National. They got very aggressive for us, and Old National actually bought those. So, they have a local presence here, which we certainly appreciate, and they bought them at a very, very favorable rate for us.
Any other questions of council members? All right, thank you, Mayor. Are there any comments from members of the audience on this proposed sewer rate ordinance? Seeing none, we will move for a roll call vote.
Heidi?
Aye.
Blinker?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Campbell?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Williamson?
Aye.
Downing?
Aye.
Ordinance passes 7-0.
That ordinance is passed. Ordinance 2012-33.
An ordinance for an additional appropriation of local roads and street funds.
What's the pleasure of the council? Mr. Campbell.
Mr. President, I move for passage of ordinance 2012-33 on first reading.
Second reading.
Second reading, excuse me.
Yeah, second. Go ahead. Mr. Reynolds.
A second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to consider ordinance 2012-33. This, again, is an ordinance that we talked about at the beginning of the meeting, the appropriation of local roads and street fund. This is now the point where we would take final action on this ordinance. Mr. Jones.
Mr. President, Mike Jones, Controller. Thank you. Before you, this ordinance, again, it encompasses my request from paving work that was appropriated in 2011. We had a reduction in the change of scope. The construction manager and the vendor had to work out what the final quantities were and come up with a final invoice. Unfortunately, they didn't get that invoice to us until well into this year, 2012, and it came to us after the State Board of Accounts would allow us to encumber those funds and keep the spending authority in place. So what I'm asking to do is to reinstate that spending authority. And these are not new funds. There's no extra tax levy. It's just coming from the unspent funds that we have for this project.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, Mr. Jones? Thank you. Any comments from the members of the audience on this particular ordinance? Seeing none, we'll have a roll call vote.
Heidi?
Aye.
Clinker?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Campbell?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Williamson?
Aye.
Downing?
Aye.
Ordinance passes 7-0.
Thank you. That ordinance is passed. Now we'll move to ordinances for first reading. The first ordinance is 2012-34.
An ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance of Tippecanoe County, Indiana, to rezone certain real estate from R1B to R1U, City of Lafayette, petitioner 2040 Monon Avenue.
Thank you. Mr. Downing.
I move to hear and approve ordinance 2012-34 on first reading.
Mr. Brown.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Carson.
Good evening, Dennis Carson, Economic Development Director. This resolution and the next two are rezonings that were filed from my department. We received these three properties through tax sales from the county, and we're wanting to rezone these properties for the purposes of to build single-family homes on these lots. We decided to take the easiest route on the rezoning and just change them to the urban categories. This will allow us to build single-family homes on these lots, and we're going to be working with various organizations and private entities to do so, such as Habitat for Humanity, private contractors, and the School Building Trades Program. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from council? Mr. Reynolds.
Just at the area plan, as I represent the area plan, it was 11-4-0.
Okay, good. Thank you. Any other questions? All right, thank you, Dennis. Any comments from members of the public on this rezone request from R1B to R1U? And this is located in the Monon Addition, is that right? Yeah. All right, we'll have a roll call vote.
Heidi?
Aye.
Clinker?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Campbell?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Williamson?
Aye.
Downing?
Aye.
Ordinance passes 7-0.
Thank you. That ordinance is passed on first and final reading. Next ordinance, 2012-35.
An ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance of Tippecanoe County, Indiana, to rezone certain real estate from R2 to R2U, City of Lafayette, petitioner 628 North 18th Street.
And what's the pleasure of the council, Mr. Clinker?
Move we hear and approve 2012-35.
Mr. Heidi.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Carson again.
Again, like the prior one, we're asking for a rezoning on this from R2 to R2U, which is the urban category, which allows us to build a single-family home on this lot in the more urban style of the neighborhood.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Reynolds, is this the same?
This is the same on 11.
Got
Yeah,
11-0.
yes.
Okay.
Did I see that you've already gotten an offer on one of these three properties?
No, not on these properties. These are all vacant properties, and we haven't contracted with anyone yet to build homes on here. We have offers on some of our other homes from our NSP program that we did in the Benton neighborhood and Glen Acres neighborhood.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Dennis. Any comments from members of the audience on this proposal to rezone a lot on, where's it, North 18th? Yes. Yes, North 18th and Rainey. Seeing none, any other final comments by council? Roll call vote.
Heidi?
Aye.
Clinker?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Campbell?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Williamson?
Aye.
Downing?
Aye.
Ordinance passes 7-0.
Thank you. That ordinance is passed. Ordinance 2012-36.
In order to amend the zoning ordinance of Tippecanoe County, Indiana to rezone certain real estate from R2 to R2U, City of Lafayette, petitioner 1319 North 18th Street.
Mr. Clinker.
I move we hear and approve ordinance 2012-36.
Mr. Heide.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to consider this ordinance. Again, Mr. Carson.
One more time, the same thing as the prior two. Again, changing this from R2 to R2U, the urban category, to build a single-family home.
Okay. What is the difference between by zoning it to the urban category? Is that less setback or?
Yeah, it's mainly setbacks and things like that, and it allows you to do different things that are more in character of the urban neighborhood.
And Mr. Reynolds?
And again, yes, approved 11, yes.
Thank you. Any questions by council? Right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dennis. Questions of or comments by members of the audience on this proposal? A roll call vote.
Heidi.
Aye.
Clinker.
Aye.
Reynolds.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Williamson.
Aye.
Stanley.
Aye.
Ordinance passes 7-0.
Thank you. That ordinance is passed. That concludes the ordinances for first reading. We'll now move toward resolutions. Resolution 2012-28.
A resolution approving the Lafayette Master Trails Plan.
What's the pleasure of the council? Mr. Campbell.
President, I move for passage of Resolution 212-28 on first reading.
Ms. Weeks Williamson.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to consider Resolution 2012-28.
I get to present this.
Madam Clerk, Cindy Murray will be presenting this. Uh-oh. You can stay here. If you
A little weird being on this side from you guys. Cindy Murray, City Clerk, and this is our Master Trails Plan, which we had the Mayor's Youth Council last week introduce to you. This has been on our radar since 2010. We started this. We had 3 stakeholders meetings and 2 public meetings where we had public input, and I think many of you were involved in some of those stakeholder meetings, which were very effective. There are 33 multi-trail use trails with a large loop going around the city of Lafayette with connecting neighborhoods and to their everyday neighborhood travels. The mayor and Jenny also had asked if the Mayor's Youth Council would be interested in naming the trails, and after meeting with Ryan Smith and his associates from BFS who helped kind of put the plan together for us, they learned quite a bit about the project and their community, and they kind of they presented some of the names last week to you, or last month, and they kind of went with landmarks, schools, neighborhoods, and existing streets, how the naming came along. And as we all know, this is a moving document, which we know when there are developments that are being developed, that some of these things, they may change. But the plan has approximately 64 potential trails for our community, with 75 miles of potential sharrows. And you guys all know what sharrows are, with the shared signage on the roads for the bicycle lanes. And it also has 8.2 miles of bike lanes. And I know the mayor and I both have gotten a lot of feedback from folks very, very interested in making our community more bicycle friendly, which is what we plan to do moving forward. So, and we've had this on the website for the past 30 days, and we really haven't received too much, really, any comment, yay or nay. So, I would entertain your support to have a resolution that doesn't really have a lot of teeth, but at least we have your support for this Trails Master Plan. And if you have any questions, Ryan Smith is here from BFS if we have any other questions.
Can you tell us the names proposed by the Mayor's Youth Council?
Well, there's God, and you all have flash drives if you want to see them. The big loop going around is what is that one? It's Veterans. Well, it's going around Veterans Memorial Parkway. It's Military Trail is the one that goes surrounding, because the Veterans Memorial Parkway has the majority of the trail itself. And the kids went with Trail of Heroes, and they have the schools. Some of them, like 9th Street is Knight's Trail, and 18th Street was Bronco Trail for the high schools that were there. They did some of the existing neighborhoods. They kind of went with the streets that were already there, and actually the neighborhoods like with McAllister, they went with that. But they did a really nice job with that. I think from the presentation they did last month. But if it'll stay on the website, and like I say, I've got little flash rates that I think I passed out last month to all you guys too. So if anyone's interested, please hop on the website or contact me or my office, and be more than happy to hand something off to them. So
okay, thank you. Any questions of Cindy? Thank you, Cindy, and to the Mayor's Youth Council for their work on that. Any comments from members of the audience on this proposal? Yes, please come forward. Please state your name and address for our record.
Sir, my name is Charles Butts, address 4004 Pennypackers Mill Road. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for allowing me to speak to you. I'm actually here, I'm the owner of Try and Run, local running specialty store here in town, and this is very encouraging to see. Lafayette's trails system is very disjointed at this time, and this is encouraging to see that it's all potentially going to match up. We currently take a lot of our training programs to the west side, to West Lafayette, and run out of Cumberland Park because our trail system is a little more developed, and to have a trail system where the runners and cyclists can be safe, this is very, very encouraging. And so as a business owner, as people that we interact with the community of runners on a daily basis, we know the support is out there for this, and just ask for your support for this. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you for your comment. Anyone else would like to speak or address this resolution? All right, any final comments by council members? Then we'll have a roll call vote.
Heidi?
Aye.
Clinker?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Campbell?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Williamson?
Aye.
Downey?
Aye.
Resolution passes 7-0.
Thank you. The resolution is passed. Resolution 2012-29.
A resolution adopting comprehensive plan amendment to the Historic Centennial Neighborhood Land Use Plan.
And Mr. Campbell.
Mr. President, I move for passage of Resolution 2012-29 and first and final reading.
Mr. Brown.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Carson.
Dennis Carson, Economic Development Director. Just make a brief introduction here. This is a plan with the Centennial Neighborhood that we've been working on for almost 2 years now. This will be an amendment to the comprehensive plan from the Area Plan Commission. And this proposal will provide a long-term vision for future development, infill, preservation, and the streetscape improvement within the neighborhood. So with that, we do have the folks that worked on it tonight, which is Ryan O'Gara from Area Plan Commission and Ratio Architects, Jackie Turner. So I'd like to turn it over to them and make a presentation. So we do have a PowerPoint that we'll show you. So if you want to step on down, we'll turn it over to them and they'll walk you through the plan.
Okay, thank you.
I can do that.
Set it up on the top.
Yeah.
I must be impressive on
Somebody's Well, this is warming up. I can at least talk about a few things that I know are not on the slides. A little over 2 years ago, the City Council authorized Area Plan Commission to do a neighborhood planning effort for the Centennial neighborhood. City of Lafayette's kind of old hat at this. There are many neighborhood plans on the books, and so this is going to join the rest of those. But this plan definitely, in my opinion, upped the ante and really set a new high standard for neighborhood planning in the City of Lafayette, as well as for the other cities and towns and for the county. We employed we did not employ, they volunteered, they self-selected a steering committee of 20 individuals that represented various neighborhood stakeholders.
and many of them are in the audience. Feel free to raise your hand if you were on the steering committee. All right, so we have a good handful here. Feel free to ask them any questions about their experiences if you like. Let's see if our contact. Great. Yeah, because I'm kind of talking to the screen. Does this turn around or? Okay. Yeah. I don't want to. You can still see the screen. That's still talking. Thank you. Excellent. Okay. So the steering committee was formed to essentially guide the work of the Planning Commission staff, as well as our partners, Ratio Architecture. We have Ben Ross and Jackie Turner here from Ratio, who are going to be speaking a little later. But I can go ahead and just jump right in here. As you know, there are many planning documents that are on the books now, or kind of information that have been guiding development all throughout the city, but also specifically in Centennial. And this plan was essentially designed to sort of build on those plan successes. We weren't trying to reinvent the wheel here. We're really trying to sort of build on the shoulders of the greats before us here. But we have obviously some photos here of the neighborhood, some historical photos. As you know, Centennial neighborhood, especially along the river back in the canal days, was very, very heavily industrialized. Much has changed since those days. But what has not is a lot of part of the historic architecture in the neighborhood, which is very well intact. We have our little project schedule here, kind of showing where we began back in 2010 to where we are now. There were a lot of bumps in the road along the way, but we definitely kept the train rolling to get to this point. We had a visioning exercise we had back in February of 2010 or March, somewhere around there, late winter. And it was opened up to the entire neighborhood. Every single mailbox got an invitation to come out to TAF and to really talk about how they'd like to see Centennial change for the better. Because this plan is looking out easily 2 or 3 generations into the future to see what might be possible. So we wanted to hear from people to see about what they wanted, what they liked, how to create a place. We have a little place-making poster there that Ratio made up for us. Centennial is an extremely compact and walkable place. It's on as we all know, it's on a street grid with alleys. It was laid down before the age of the automobile, so it's already built for a very comfortable pedestrian environment. The historic architecture, again, cannot be overstated enough. There's some fantastic examples throughout, and Ben Ross of Ratio Architecture has plenty of experience in the neighborhood, and he assisted us with cataloging these historic structures from our outstanding examples of an architectural type down to the non-contributing, the more modern architecture that really doesn't blend in with the more historic stuff, so to speak. We did a existing land use study. We broke up into teams. We walked every single street and alley, the entire neighborhood, to determine what existing land uses we had to deal with. As you can see, it's quite a patchwork quilt. About every single land use you can think of is currently in Centennial. And part of our neighborhood planning effort is to try to bring a little bit more order to this chaos. We did a rental and occupancy and ownership study. There is a strong contingent of owner-occupied structures. They're represented in green, but of course the majority are in a rental condition. One of the objectives of the plan is to try to boost that home ownership market, to try to bring people closer to downtown. Conducted a building conditions survey using criteria that we've long used in past plans, and pleased to report the kind of the bones of Centennial are quite good. The easily close to 90% of the structures fell into this A-B category of either the structure is in very good condition or just needs a little touch-up. Of course, there's always a few that fall below that standard, but there were very few of them. This map here shows, basically identifies gateways into the neighborhood. The 3rd and 4th Street corridor, it's just, very, very busy. It's a main artery through the neighborhood, as well as the 9th Street intersection with Ferry. And as you can see, we have a quarter-mile radius circle surrounding this, and this is a distance that is long held to be a comfortable walking distance for most people. After a quarter mile, a lot of people get tired and want to get in their car and move on. So you can see, you can pretty much walk wherever you want in Centennial, and you have a way to get there. There's plenty of sidewalks. And so this is why we've designed the plan the way we have, is that it's already structured to support a more pedestrian environment. It's the right size for a pedestrian environment. It's next to an exceptionally lively downtown. There's an awful lot going for it. We did a sidewalk condition survey, rating them just sort of in general terms. This obviously is a good place to start for future infrastructure improvements. Of course, North Street's already getting its overhaul. Alley conditions. Alleys are exceptionally important spaces, even though they're kind of largely ignored. It's the place where you can put all the utilities and trash and cars and everything else you'd rather not look at. And so maintaining these alleys is, I think, of prime importance moving ahead. Let's see. I guess I'll kind of end here, and then I'll turn it over to Jackie. But after we made this analysis of the existing conditions of the neighborhood, the next step is to really outline what is the vision for the neighborhood, what's going to be our guiding principle. And this is what we have here. Historic Centennial neighborhood shall be a vibrant, mixed-use, urban neighborhood that draws on its unique historic character to continually attract and sustain residences and businesses while serving as a cultural destination for visitors in the entire community. And then from there we list a series of goals and objectives, and then we move into implementation strategies to basically assist us in how do we achieve this greater vision for the neighborhood, which again the steering committee heartily endorsed this vision and goals. And I think we'll go ahead and turn it over to you. I think the next one, future land uses. Go for it. All right, that's forward and backward.
Hi, I'm Jackie Turner. I'm a senior planner with Ratio, and one of our goals in working with the community is to produce a user-friendly document and something that's fairly easy to read, not by those of us just in the profession, but by anybody who would pick it up, that it would be easy to read and easy to understand. And just by way of, in terms of a comprehensive plan, if you're not familiar with it, because some of the maps might remind you of zoning if you've purchased a piece of property, a home, or a shop, you're familiar with that, but a comprehensive plan is actually more a guiding and policy document. It's not the letter of the law, like a zoning map or zoning ordinances would be. So that's just to fill you in there. But one of the things that the state of Indiana requires be included in a comprehensive plan is a future land use map, and so that's what this is. And it is a guide for how to sort of put compatible land uses next to each other. In this particular instance, because it's a small area, it sort of goes with some parcel lines or street boundaries. If you were doing a larger city or a whole city or a town or a county, it would be more broad brush. But like I said, it's not the zoning map. It doesn't mean that a particular type of land use. Yellow generally represents residential in these sorts of maps. Red's commercial. Blues, institutional uses such as churches, hospitals, government, office buildings. Green, your park space. And so one of the things we wanted to do is when you're trying to, and I know that Ryan and the other folks on his staff spent months working with the community, because everybody's interested in what their parcel is going to be designated and what the parcel across the street and next to them is. And so not only can you just tell someone, oh, that's low density residential urban, or that's neighborhood scale commercial, a lot of people don't understand what those words are. So we spent a lot of time putting images, finding some images that were from the neighborhood or from other areas that reflected the character as well as some key words. So, and I'm just going to go through these quickly, but you can, certainly get this document is available on the Area Plan Commission website. But anyway, these are just other residential categories, and you might see these three different residential categories if you live in a suburban neighborhood. I do, 18 miles out from Indianapolis. None of these categories exist where I live, so this is very much an urban neighborhood, and so it's going to be a different standard than your neighborhood might have. One thing that you'll find in an urban neighborhood, which is, and Ben will talk to you a little bit more about historic character and form, is the mixed uses and mixed densities, mixed incomes. That's the way they traditionally were. These are some examples. So one of the things that that was sort of asked of us by our client and then our sort of agency partner, the APC, was to produce a document that we weren't going to create zoning ordinances, but something that would sort of be the precursor to zoning ordinances for this district. So we created a section which is the recommendations and guidelines and policies, where we use a lot of the words about should be encouraged, should, might, in the language. Whereas if you look at ordinances, they will say you shall have street trees, or you shall have, your house shall be set back. And so this right here are just some of the categories that we addressed as part of a neighborhood, because it's more than just the house and it's more than just the street, but it's the parking, parks and open space. We wanted to address sustainability because this is almost 2013 after all. Architectural form and character, and I think Ben's probably going to take over here. We'll all sort of just go to the redevelopment sites, and then Ben will take over the next slide. But this was a goal to not just end up with a policy document, but actually to begin to have a redevelopment strategy. And so early on in the process, after working with the public, we came up with a category of underutilized sites. If you saw the early slide that Ryan showed, which had sort of the way the neighborhood is, there are a lot of parking lots. There are homes that are not in the best condition. There are some business or sort of entities that are there that could maybe be somewhere else in the city. And trying to look at what would be the highest and best use for this community to bring people back into living in this near downtown neighborhood. And this is how we started on these sites. And I'll go ahead and let Ben take over there.
I'm Ben Ross with Ratio Architects. I'm also a Lafayette native, and Mr. Downing was my drafting teacher about 15 years ago. So,
nice drawing.
But as Jackie said, these redevelopment sites are sites that are underutilized, that do not fit in with the character of the neighborhood. If you think about it, in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s, there was not a lot of interest in urban neighborhoods, so you'd have, a half block of houses be torn down for a warehouse, like the abandoned Midwest Rentals property that is not really in character with the neighborhood. It's not a good use. The business that was using it moved away from it. So sites like that are key for redevelopment that can have a big impact on the surrounding properties. These grew out of discussion with neighborhood residents and the steering committee to determine which sites were the ones that appeared to be most critical to them that could have the most impact. One of the sites is at 3rd and Brown, with 3rd Street here and Brown Street there. The neighborhood is particularly interested in finding ways to fit in the kind of services that are needed in a viable, walkable urban neighborhood. One of those being a grocery store, more than just a specialty store, but a small, Marsh, Kroger-type grocery store that provides everyday needs. But how do you fit something like that into a neighborhood without having, the big parking lot in front? In this case, we looked at, space for first-floor retail, potential second-floor office, and third-floor residential space in a development with parking in the rear, on-street parking in the front, with storefronts. You could even have space for restaurants or cafes on the sidewalk. The development stepping down to match the height of buildings along 4th Street, with more mixed-use buildings to blend into the existing neighborhood fabric. So as opposed to the typical suburban grocery store you see, it's a big box with nothing around it but a parking lot. This tries to blend those services into the neighborhood, matching the character while providing the services, and creating an area where a lot more economic activity and interesting things can be going on. For many years, there's been an interest in having a park or gateway that would connect to the Wabash River. Railroad relocation was great because it eliminated all those crossings. I remember sitting, waiting for trains all the time when I was a kid in the car, but it did cut us off from the river, and now we're trying to find ways to reconnect. We have a downtown that's right next to one of Indiana's most scenic rivers. For many years, I know at least in the early 90s, there were proposals for a pedestrian bridge at Brown Street, where the former Brown Street Bridge was located. This just shows one potential vision for how a pedestrian bridge could connect into a park on what is now a large parking lot area. Again, underutilized land, formerly industrial, but now mostly empty. As a potential gateway into the community from the levee in West Lafayette and a real resource for an active downtown area where we have a lot of festivals, a lot of events, the new City Bus Transfer Center right here. So really creating a high-quality public space for the community. Another potential site was Centennial Park, which currently occupies this quarter block with parking area to the north, and then the YWCA property up here. This was formerly the site of a large mansion that was torn down for a drive-in grocery store in the 40s that was torn down when the YWCA was built. This looks at some options for potentially coming back in with multifamily housing that is more in character with the scale of the neighborhood, creating more of a front along the park and really making this a really great neighborhood park. Another site is the CAF, the Wells Community Cultural Center here along North Street, which is now undergoing its new pavement treatment, and 6th Street, and then Centennial Park here to the north, looking at the potential for a small parking garage sandwiched between townhomes that would front on North Street and on Brown Street, the park, giving an appropriate urban front to this structure while also accommodating parking needs for, there are actually a large number of businesses, and CAF has events which I'm sure many of you have attended and noticed that all the street parking fills up. So finding ways to accommodate the automobile without destroying the neighborhood to get it in there, because once you do that, no one's going to want to be there. So looking at ways that parking could blend into the neighborhood, accommodating everyone's needs while making it a really great place to be. As far as how this can move forward, there are a variety of redevelopment strategies are identified in the document. Land use ordinance updates, historic preservation standards, the potential for a local historic district or another type of design review that would give more control to residents as far as what's going on in their neighborhood. Instead of just having to argue in a public meeting, there could be a process and design guidelines that could really help shape something that fits the character of the neighborhood and of the Lafayette community. The North Street reconstruction is going on right now, a great improvement. Aesthetically, stormwater-wise, it'll be a really nice street when it's finished. Public-private partnerships to accomplish these goals. We see that right now with the Midwest Rental site, the city working with a local investment group to get that site redeveloped with something that is fitting. There are a lot of opportunities for those kind of partnerships that can benefit everyone in the community. Development incentives can be provided for certain types of development. There are a variety of ways that can be done, but finding ways to incentivize the kind of development that will bring the most quality of life improvements and most economic activity, so that you're not just saying any development's good. You want development that's strategic, that will have the most impact on the community. Grants for brownfield remediation and park development are widely available. As noted, many of these sites were heavily industrial, and there is contamination on a few of the sites. So pursuing opportunities to leverage funding to get key projects like that completed. Expansion of the TIF district could also provide some funding. As you can see in this page in the document, there are a number of helpful references. The implementation tables help to look at the different tasks, their time frames, their priorities, and which parties are responsible. Some of these goals may be achievable in 5 years, some of them may take 20 years, but you need to understand how they're moving forward to be able to make progress. The City Bus Transfer Center is under construction right now, so that's a great improvement happening within the neighborhood. And I think that, kind of just to close, mixed-use urban neighborhoods like historic Centennial neighborhood are in increasing demand right now. They're sought out by young professionals, by families, by new retirees, people who want neighborhoods with great quality of life, places they don't have to drive 30 minutes in the car to get wherever they need to go. And proactive planning can really help create these kind of communities and build on what we have. This neighborhood has some really exceptional urban fabric. It's a resource that many communities don't have. Indianapolis has very few neighborhoods of exactly this kind of density that survive. So proactive planning can help to capitalize on these resources that Lafayette has, its architectural resources, its cultural resources. These are things that we have been given by past generations, and we can use them to improve quality of life and to promote economic development. There was an article in The Atlantic this morning
that pointed out that the entry of the millennial generation into the housing market at the same time that the baby boomers are retiring dramatically strengthens the market for walkable places. It notes, to remain competitive in the new marketplace for the best and brightest, cities must respond by creating a higher quality of life that is the first step to attracting new residents and jobs. So with that, we would open it up to questions from the council.
Somebody's done an awful lot of work, hasn't they?
Well, thank you for all your work on that presentation. I know you put a lot of time and effort into it. I want to thank the people on the task force and the neighbors and all the other stakeholders who spent a good part of the last couple of years working on it. It looks like it's well worth it. All right. If there's no questions from council members, I guess I'll open up to members of the public. If anybody in the audience would like to make a comment or questions about the presentation we just saw regarding Centennial Neighborhood. This is just a plan. It's sort of a guide offered by us for future development. When people come in and look at developing the area, they can look back at this as a reference point. Yes, Mr. Hunt.
I'm Michael Hunt. My wife and I live at 602 North 5th Street in Centennial Neighborhood. I was on the steering committee, and all I would like to do is thank the City Council for authorizing to initiate this study. And as you see, it gives us a blueprint for the future. We've been I think you would acknowledge, some of us, there's been an active bunch of people there, and we've made progress, but this gives us an option or an opportunity to magnify, to accentuate what we've accomplished going forward. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mike, and I want to thank you and your wife Phyllis both, because I know both of you have been at this for a very long time, so appreciate all your work and dedication to it. Any other comments by anyone? Yes.
My name is Stuart Frescas. I live at 421 Brown Street. I was on the steering committee representing the interests of tenants, and I would urge you to ratify this plan. A very large effort was made to hear the interests of different stakeholders, and the document was crafted very carefully, and I think that it will stand up and be a real resource for the future. Thanks.
Thank you, Stuart.
Good morning, Perry Barber, 3700 Redbud.
Good evening.
Okay. I always say morning. Anyway, the thing we just seen was is going to be great for the downtown area, and I know that's is the other areas throughout the city, is it going to be looked at down the road like other neighborhoods? I know they're not more commercialized, but other buildings are slipping away from the cracks. Are we going to try to make a improvement for other neighborhoods?
Well, I know we already have a couple of these plans in place for some of the neighborhoods. I don't know is there another neighborhood sort of up on the radar to look at, Dennis?
We're going to be looking at Monon neighborhood to do some potential rezoning in that area. It's not going to, the plan won't be as comprehensive as this, but this is the kind of the first of its kind that we've done for these downtown neighborhoods. So we would like to replicate this with other neighborhoods. Area plan staff, though, they have a lot on their plate already, so it'll be probably some time before we undertake one of this magnitude. But we do hope to do more in the future.
Thank you, Dennis.
I just want to add on that it's a great project, and support this whole project that's really nice.
Thank you, Perry. Any other comments from members of the audience before we take a final vote? All right, we'll move forward then on final vote on Resolution 2012-29.
Heidi?
Aye.
Blinkers?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Campbell?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Williamson?
Aye.
Downing?
Aye.
Resolution passes 7-0.
Thank you. The resolution is passed. Good luck with the rest of it. All right, Resolution 2012-30.
A resolution of the Common Council of the City of Lafayette, Indiana, authorizing participation of said city in the motor fuel budgeting program of the Indiana Bond Bank for 2013 budget year, the execution of the qualified entity reimbursement agreement in connection therewith, and other related matters.
Mr. Downey.
Thank you. I move to pass here and pass Resolution 2012-30.
Please, Williamson. Thank you. Mr. Jones.
Mike Jones, Controller. Mr. President, I'm here asking for your approval to again participate in the Indiana Bond Bank Fuel Hedge Program. As you know, the Bond Bank several years ago tried to put a program together to help local government units combat the wildly unpredictable swings that we had in fuel prices. This program is a financial hedge. It is not a commodity hedge. We don't deal with any of the commodities. We put our fuel out for bid the same way. We buy it from the same vendors that we always have, and we're free to negotiate those prices as best we can. But how the program works, and it hasn't changed in the 4 years, is it starts with the budget process. With the bond bank's consultation, we set a price for our fuel, which this year I budgeted unleaded fuel at $3.21 a gallon and diesel at $3.56 a gallon. We work very closely with them and Maverick Energy, who works with the bond bank, and so we put those prices together, put them in the budget, and then we estimate our fuel usage. We're allowed to hedge up to 80% of that estimated usage. We send that information down with our audited financial statements and the budget that you have passed for 2013, and then the bond bank considers our participation in that. Once we're approved and all the other units that are going to participate are approved, they set a collar, which is a ceiling and a floor price for fuel on the two commodities, and they send that back to us, and then we try to decide what's the most prudent measure to take and how much fuel to hedge given the collar, the gap that we have. Typically, once that happens, we're done. We've asked to hedge that certain amount of fuel, and how it works then is that they take a look at the NYMEX, the New York Mercantile Exchange prices on fuel. Anytime that fuel price goes above the ceiling, we get money back. Should it fall below the floor, then we would owe. Anything in the middle, we pay an administrative fee. So it really acts as an insurance policy for our budget, is what it does. And I might mention that in the 4 years that we've done this, it's fallen below the floor 1 month for 2 weeks. The rest of last year we had a series of escalating prices, and we were able to get back $49,000 net of the administrative fees. We redistribute that to the departments based on their percentage of usage. So it really has protected us. My first year we didn't have this, and prices jumped almost 45%. We just weren't prepared for it. So it really is a very, very handy tool for budgeting, and I would ask for your approval.
Great. Thank you. Any questions of Mr. Jones? Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Any comments by council? Any comments or questions by members of the audience on this particular proposal? All right, we'll have a roll call vote.
Heidi?
Aye.
Blinker?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Campbell?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Williamson?
Aye.
Downing?
Aye.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Thank you. That resolution is passed. That concludes our resolutions. Reports to standing committees, I don't think we have any outstanding. And reports to special committees, I don't think we have any special committees convened. Report by the mayor? Miscellaneous and new business, anyone? I guess I would like to thank the street department, the fire department, the police department yesterday for their efforts in coordinating and helping with the Christmas parade. It was a great community turnout, probably one of the better ones I've seen in a long time. The weather might have had something to do with it, but everybody got to see Santa, and it was a great community event. So, thank you to the city for everybody who's involved in that and for their coordination. Reports of councilmen. No. Public comment. This is the time of our meeting where we open it up to members of the audience to come forward and address us with whatever concerns you may have. We do traditionally ask that you limit your comments to about 3 minutes. So at this point in time, anyone would like to come up and address us and give us any of your thoughts or questions or comments, feel free to do so. Okay. Seeing none, Mr. Campbell.
Mr. Mayor, I move we adjourn.
You promoted me. It's Mr. Meyer. Did you say Mr. Mayor? Mr. Clinker. Mr. Clinker.
I'll second.
All right. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. We're adjourned. Thank you.